Chase Thomas podcast. My nephew needs me to record. See, I already hate it. I hate it.
All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Chase Thomas podcast from still the aforementioned Chase Thomas, coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee, Everything School HQ. Joining me over there in the western part of the state, it's Jumpin' Jack Foster, taking a break from some Avenged Sevenfold afternoon concert watching from like 2016 while he works away at Omaha Productions and Rocky Top Insider. Jack, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, Chase. And by the way, I've been meaning to ask you this for weeks. Why is it Jumpin' Jack Foster?
I don't know, because Jumpin' Jacks, and I just think
Yeah.
Jumpin' Jack, I don't know, just kind of.
How many jumping jacks could you do without stopping?
Ooh. Do you watch Impractical Jokers?
I have before, but not regularly.
Okay. This past season, I think the finale of this past season, I think is one of the guys, Murr, had to, he said for whatever reason, as his punishment was to see how many, if he could do hula hoop for an hour straight, because he claimed he could hula hoop for an hour straight. He made it like 2 minutes. It was pretty crazy. But it was in front of everybody. They did this whole thing. So I feel like if I answer this question, it's going to feel like that, where I have no idea. In my prime, probably a lot more than right now.
Give me a number.
This is tough. I don't know. I haven't done a jumping jack, I haven't done this since, middle school maybe. So, it's been like 20 years. I don't know. What is a lot? Golly, you're putting me on the spot. I'll say I don't know. I'm a skinny guy. I could probably do, say, without stopping. Is that the rule?
Uh-huh.
I'll say 250.
That's exactly what yes, that's mine.
Okay.
That's mine.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I could do 250 without stopping.
Yeah. I think I'd get kind of dizzy after that and kind of vertigo-y.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just I don't know.
I've done this before, and I feel like I reached around this mark, 2 to 250. I challenged my dad to it, and I remember it wasn't necessarily my muscles. It was just your feet hurt so bad. It's because you're just the impact over and over and over.
Then I'm
again,
out.
you know?
Hold on. I'm changing my answer. As someone who has foot arthritis in my left foot, this is going to be a problem.
Yeah, that may hurt you. You could still get to 100.
I don't know, man. It depends on the impact here.
We'll test it sometime.
And then what if I re-break my foot? And then it's all Jack Foster's fault. Then
foot.
it's all Jumpin' Jack Foster's fault.
You're not gonna break your foot.
Famous last words, man. I didn't think I was gonna break my foot just running down the road the week of my wedding.
If you're at all coordinated, you're not breaking your foot.
Oh, speaking of, actually, we're almost the 3-year anniversary of my broken foot, because my wife and I's 3-year anniversary was yesterday, and I broke it that Wednesday, the week of our wedding. So
what were you doing?
Running. I was stepping off. I was like 3 miles in, and I stepped off a curb, and my foot got caught. Let me see if I can get this on video. There's a little elevation when I'm crossing the road on the stoplight that I was at. So I went to plant my foot when it turned green, and my foot rolled because the back of my shoe got caught on the elevation. So my foot just went, and I heard the crunch. I had noise canceling headphones, and I heard the snap, and I was like, uh-oh, because I never broke anything, and I felt some immediate pain, and then I was like, oh, I can't run. I was trying to put weight on it. I'm like, oh no, and then of course you're like, oh no, this can't be happening right now. I'm getting married in 3 days. This is not gonna work. But made it through. No boot for the wedding. All that. It was great. I was sweating a lot. I was in a lot of pain. By the end of the night, it was in.
Makes sense.
There is a great photo of me though, leaving the venue with my wife, and the photographer forgot, I think, that I had a broken foot because I didn't wear anything. I wasn't wearing a brace or anything, and asked me to dip my wife for the photo before we leaving. And this is my left foot, my planning foot. This.
Yeah, you're
100%.
Because you're right-handed, so right.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I tried it in the heat of the moment because everyone's looking at you. You got sparklers going and all that kind of stuff to get out. There's a lot of adrenaline. You're like, all right, what am I gonna do? Just go back and forth there. I can't physically do this right now. So I tried it, and there's a great photo of me like yelling. Like I yelped. Like it was shooting pain. It
Oh.
looks like I'm laughing, not laughing. My wife's laughing.
Did you actually make noise?
Yeah.
Dang, that sucks.
Yeah, dude. It was no chance. Like it was a terrible idea.
Hey, at least you did it though. You didn't drop her.
No.
That's all.
Didn't dip her very far though. It was one of those where I was like, it was very immediately clear that I was like, there's no chance.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But hey, there we go. Jack Foster, we have some Tennessee talk here on this Thursday afternoon going up on Friday. Tennessee with one of these games that just, it's hard to get up for. It's hard to be like, I'll be in front of the TV with my notepad, having to watch every snap and UAB Tennessee, and it's like 56-7 in the mid-third quarter, and you're like, no, I got to see what the snap count is. Christian Gass is confirmed to play. I got to see how my guy from Covington is doing for Tennessee at Leo, but it's going to be, I would guess, probably a beatdown for the Vols yet again. Tennessee responds really well, especially after losses, and Hype Bull has done really well against FCS teams and all that. But I mean, before we get into our big three topics today, I mean, is there anything you're really looking for out of this UAB game on Saturday? Is there anything interesting to you about it for Tennessee?
Yeah, I guess I just want to see how, everybody responds from such a heartbreaker overall. I mean, I think anybody who doesn't have more faith in Tennessee as a team this year after the Georgia game doesn't know ball. Like, everybody should be more optimistic about Tennessee and like this team more after how the Vols competed against the Bulldogs last weekend in Neyland. So I'm just looking to see how they respond after that heartbreaker. I would expect them to come out and do well. Offense feels like it's firing on all cylinders right now. We'll get into it a little bit more. We'll see what the health updates of some guys look like. Does David Sanders make his debut? I think a lot of that stuff's up in the air. But just better run defense, maybe, if I had to pinpoint one area of the game. I think Tennessee has largely struggled with the lack of interior defensive line depth. I think that honestly was more of a problem for Tennessee against Georgia than the secondary. So that's what I'd look to.
I would be more intrigued because, I mean, Tennessee is just not going to get we'll never know, but I would love to have known what this team would have done in response. Like if you flip UAB and Mississippi State, like if this team had to go to Starkville the week after that kind of heartbreaker, that would be very, very curious to me. Like we talk about, like, we know this team's good, but how are they going to get off the mat for that? Like immediately, you got to go on the road in the SEC against a better than what most folks expected. Like it's actually pretty nice that Tennessee is going to get a little bit of a gap here between all the emotions that went into that Georgia game, and you get kind of you still got to take care of business on Saturday, but you get kind of a breather, on Saturday to get ready for Mississippi State. You don't have to immediately go on the road to Mississippi State, because that I would be very, very fascinated to see how Tennessee responds in that scenario, but they're not going to be asked to really do that on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you're just not losing this game. It's just not going to happen. So
we'll never know. Jack Foster, Joey Aguilar moves up into the top 5 in Heisman odds. Could you see it play out where he gets to New York based on what you've seen through 3 weeks?
Only if Tennessee wins out, I think. I think Tennessee
they have to go 11-1.
I believe so. Just because preseason, prognostication of Aguilar wasn't as high as some other guys, so he has a lot of ground to make up there. Obviously, people know about him now, and he's a lot of fun. He's easy to root for. I feel like after 2 years of just complete boring football for Tennessee's offense, now that it's fun again, people are buying all the way back in like they were in 2022. It doesn't have the same magic, and obviously it's really early in the season, but it feels a lot more like 2022 with this offense than the last 2 seasons, just because of the quarterback play. You can tell Aguilar just gets this system and can execute at a higher level than Nico and Joe could. So yes, I think it is possible, but I would think that Tennessee has to win out. There's just too many other guys. I mean, Carson Beck may walk his way to New York just by winning a lot of games at Miami. The ACC is obviously not good, so I think Miami is the best team in the league. John Mateer feels like, he's the front runner. He's the hammer right now. Oklahoma feels to be a really good team. We'll see what happens in Knoxville. That maybe could be the deciding factor between those two quarterbacks. Outside of that, TBD. I mean, we'll see what kind of season Texas A&M can put together. I think people could buy into Marcel Reed. I don't know why Tommy Castellanos, I use DraftKings for betting. He is still pretty low on the Heisman odds. I mean, Florida State scored 77 in week 2 and beat Alabama pretty convincingly in week 1. Castellanos could be there too. Again, a weak ACC league. So I just think there's too many other guys for Aguilar to make it unless Tennessee wins out. And I believe if Tennessee wins out, it's because Aguilar was a stud all year long.
I think that's fair. I think Castellanos and Beck will cancel each other out. One of those two will be a finalist based on where their season's headed.
Yeah.
Haynes King deserves to be in that conversation. I just don't think he'll get there. I don't think Haynes is going to have I just have a hard time believing he's going to get there. The SEC is going to have a couple of quarterbacks. Like, that's my whole thing. It's like the SEC is going to get a couple to New York. John Mateer, probably the leader in that category, like you talked about, but you get him at home. Yep. So if Aguilar outplays Mateer with all of Heisman voters and national folks watching, that, it's a narrative award. Like, that's a big part of it. If Aguilar, even it's a team game, but if Aguilar outduels Mateer and Aguilar has a better game, like, he'll vault John Mateer in that conversation. And it's just kind of, I think there's a lot of schedule left. I'm not surprised that he's in the top 5 right now, and depending on where you look. But right. I said after the game on Saturday, if Tennessee had won that game, I mean, I wouldn't go as far to say favorite, but he's definitely like the darling of Heisman odds. Like, I think the fact that he's still in the top 5 tells me that there is a lot of belief that this Joey Aguilar in Tennessee is going to be really good. Because like you said, like, you're not going to win the Heisman unless you win 10 plus games. Like, you got to get into that conversation where you're somewhere in that playoff mix, and for Tennessee,
or just have an unbelievably stellar statistical season like Jaden Daniels,
which maybe, but I don't see that for Aguilar. I don't see that being his path.
No,
and I don't really see that with anybody in the mix this year. I don't think there's a Jaden Daniels situation here in 25.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Mateer would be the closest one just because of the rushing, and he can pass at a high level, but. Yeah, that's probably.
But they're defense first. Like, they want to play ball control. Like, his numbers are not going to be crazy. Like, I don't think Mateer is going to put up crazy numbers. And Daniels had to do a lot more because the defense stunk, right? Like, that was part of what helped Jaden Daniels in a weird way. It didn't help him make the college football playoff, but it did help him put up more numbers because he had more possessions, So I think Aguilar is going to be in that group.
Yeah, I do think a Big Ten quarterback makes it as well. Whether that's, if Penn State goes undefeated, Drew Aller feels like an obvious choice. Oregon goes undefeated. Maybe Dante Moore finds his way there. And then one that's been a lot of fun first couple weeks. The team actually Greg McElroy was very high on, picked to win the Big 12. Devin Dampier, Utah.
Yeah.
Maybe Utah can make some noise and Dampier could be in the mix. But yeah, outside of the names we've mentioned, I mean, I just don't think Sayin or Stockton will be good enough to make it.
No.
Jackson Arnold, no. Ty Simpson, no. Any other Big 12 quarterback, don't think so. Maybe
Arch
Jeremiah
is definitely
Smith.
out. DJ's out.
Yeah, maybe Jeremiah Smith could just be an animal all year long and win Ohio State some massive games and do it. I don't know. But yeah, I don't see anybody else really outside of the names we've touched on.
And I think what Aguilar is going to need, too, to put a bow on it, he needs some guys around him to stay healthy. Like, if Brazel and Staley are healthy all year, I mean, he's going to put up numbers. Like, that's the whole thing. It's like he needs his starting 3 with Brazel, Staley, and Matthews to stay healthy. If those 3 are healthy, like we said at the beginning of the year, like, you need 2,000 snaps from those 3. And if you get them, you're going to be pretty okay. I think this passing game is going to be pretty potent. Like, you saw Todd McShay. Like, Chris Brazel might be wide receiver 1 in his 2026 mock sooner rather than later. So there's real juice with Brazel and what he's gotten. And that's going to help Aguilar because receivers are going to cancel each other out. It's very rare that you have the Devontae Smith type deal, and I don't think you're going to see that with Tennessee with this group. But I do think that's going to very much help Joey Aguilar. So I think the narrative is going to help him. I think the spots that he still gets to play in at Alabama, Oklahoma at home, still goes to Florida at the end of the year. Like, he's still going to be on the national stage many more times, and he passed the first test. Like, even though they lost, Aguilar passed the first, this guy's got real juice. So I don't know. I think if he gets to 10 wins, my gut is if Tennessee wins 10 games, and Aguilar's healthy and Brazel and Staley are healthy for 12 games, I think he's a Heisman finalist. I'll go ahead and throw that out there. I think he makes the Heisman finals.
Yeah, and especially if the loss, I think a loss at home, another home loss to Oklahoma would hurt more than a road loss to Bama, and a loss to a potentially really bad Florida team would hurt more. So I think if the loss comes to Bama, which is what I feel like most people would bet on, like if I said, hey, Tennessee's losing a second game, who's it going to be to? You're going to pick Alabama first, I would think. So
that's what I would pick first.
Yeah, me too. So I also at the end of the year, you look at it. Well, Tennessee lost on the road to Alabama and Tuscaloosa close, and we all remember the Georgia thriller. So Tennessee could be 12-0 is what people could be saying.
And he also might beat Lagway, Mateer, and Diego Pavia in like a month span.
Yeah.
So that also helps, like in the forefront of people's minds. So I think it's definitely something to monitor. It's something I might jump on if I'm a Vol fan. I'm like, you want to jump on it now before just nice little long term. And it also it couldn't hurt, but I don't think it's a bad one. ESPN's matchup predictor, speaking of where we could see Tennessee winning and losing, I think this is pretty interesting that they have Florida and Alabama on the road, both higher win odds than Oklahoma at home going into week 4 here, Jack. I mean, do you agree with that? Because I'm not. This is where the numbers are wrong because I don't see it.
Yeah, numbers don't really factor into account Tennessee's history on the road, how tough it is to win any given Saturday on the road in a very tough place to play against one of the best programs of all time, the best program of all time in Alabama. So I don't see how Oklahoma's more difficult than Alabama. You could convince me of Florida. Look, Tennessee has the horrible history in Gainesville as of late. So, I mean, I'm almost still more nervous about Florida than Oklahoma just because of the road factor. But let's face it, Oklahoma is the far superior team. But Alabama, jury's probably still out between those two. Look, they got blitzed a little bit by Florida State, who could potentially just be very good. We don't actually know yet. Florida State could just be awesome. And Ty Simpson has looked really strong last 2 weeks. And I don't think Bama's really going anywhere. I think they'll be fine this year and a really good team. So, yeah, I feel like this is wrong. Alabama's the toughest matchup remaining for Tennessee, but I would put Oklahoma second.
Interesting. I would still have Florida second
as far as who you're facing, but nervousness and like, okay, but which one's Tennessee going to lose? Like, you're still going to say Florida, but in terms of which matchup is actually more difficult for Tennessee on paper, it's Oklahoma.
The other thing I think that's going to happen is I feel like that's a night game in the dark mode game. If you look at the calendar, that's the dark mode.
It's Halloween. Yeah,
that's the dark mode game. I feel really good about Tennessee at night in dark mode. Like I feel like it is going to be louder than what you even heard against Georgia. Obviously, there's the history with Heupel and OU. I think that's kind of like the new Kentucky for Heupel, where it's just like, I am not losing to Oklahoma. And he's like, I'm not losing under any circumstances to Kentucky. Like, I'll go into a shell and go 12 personnel and just sit on the ball in Norman for an entire half if I have to get out of here with a victory. I'll have to see it to believe it with Heupel losing to one of Kentucky and Oklahoma. I think he very much wants to beat Oklahoma, and he very much wants to beat Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, Kentucky obviously is a different ballgame. But yeah, I see what you're saying as far as just the will to win and beat an opponent.
That dude is bringing everything out to beat Oklahoma in Neyland Stadium. I would be stunned if Tennessee lost to Oklahoma.
Okay, that's fair. It's fair to think that. And you wouldn't be stunned if they lost to Florida. But also, you do agree that Oklahoma's the better team.
Yes, Oklahoma's better team. Florida is just like, it's so far out, like I can't even get there. But the DJ stuff, and you had that story come out today about DJ's offseason, and it's just, it feels like everything is, like I said before the year, one of Oklahoma, Florida, and Auburn would break through. Like, not all of them would break through, but one of them has enough talent. Like, one of these guys who are going into the year on the hot seat and just big questions, I was like, one of them is actually going to be pretty good. I just picked it was going to be Florida. It's actually Oklahoma. Oklahoma's the one that's actually good, that's figured it out, that's righted the ship, and that have real staying power. Like, I genuinely do think they're like a top 5 team in the SEC this year. Like, I think they're legit. Florida, no. Jackson Arnold, I could not sell more Auburn stock. Like, that That's coming. That's probably coming this Saturday with Auburn and Oklahoma. So
yeah, it's in Norman, right?
Yeah, like there's just the Jackson Arnold return. No chance. Like I just write that one off. Then it's no chance. Oklahoma's winning that football game. But yeah, I'm going to be very fascinated because you already dropped the 1, and you maybe can drop 2 depending on who those losses are and still make the college football. Because that's the whole thing. We just don't know how chaotic this is going to get. Like, could a 9-3, 10-C team get in over 10-2 Indiana? Like, are we going to have that conversation? Like, is that going to come up here in the next couple months? I don't know. It depends on who Tennessee loses to, but they're still very much in the mix.
I feel like you got to go 10-2 to feel good about it. You know,
because 10-2, you're a lock.
I mean, I wouldn't say lock. We had a lot of chaos last year. We had a lot of chaos last year.
Tennessee, I mean, it would require, I think, 5 SEC teams going 10-2 for them not to get in.
Yeah. I mean, they would only have...
There'd be heck to pay. Let's just put it that way. If Tennessee got left out at 10-2, I just Greg Sankey might just I don't know. Yeah. I have a hard time believing that would happen. Final one for you. Stock up, stock down. So let's do our stock report this week. Now that we've had a couple days to really look at all the numbers and think about what happened with Tennessee, Georgia. This could be player, position, room, or coaches. Whose stock is up right now and who is down?
Everybody's talking about Chris Brazzell, and justifiably so. What incredible plays he made, 6 for 177 and 3, the contested catches, the making something happen, waiting on the balls in the air to snare him out and score. Legacy game for number 17. Mm-hmm. Stock is clearly up for him. But Braylon Staley, stock up. Let's go. What a season he is having. 9-catch game against Georgia. Obviously almost had 100 yards. Did score against Syracuse. 2 tutties on the year. You and I talked about on your radio show before the season, what if, Tennessee has so much young receiver talent now beyond Staley and Mike Matthews at the true freshman class, and coming in, Tristan Keys. Look, Tennessee's going to recruit receiver at a really high level. How are you going to keep Staley and Matthews healthy for multiple years? Maybe one has to go. Well, Staley's outperforming Mike Matthews, in my opinion, so far. I don't think Matthews has been bad or anything, but Staley just looks like he's more of a difference maker. And he's emerged as a real threat for Tennessee at wide receiver, in addition to Chris Brazzell. So stock big time up for Braylon Staley, and it's been fun to watch him.
No, I think you're 100% right on Braylon, and it's a great situation for him, I think, kind of, because, I mean, next year, all eyes will be on him, but he gets to kind of break out, and Brazzell helps things, right? Like Brazzell downfield and Brazzell being the darling, like you talked about. I mean, he had a borderline Jalen Hyatt 2022 game against Georgia on Saturday, but Braylon does all the little things, right? Like Braylon opens up when you have an effective slot at Tennessee in Josh Heupel's scheme, it just opens so much for this team. And you didn't realize how much you missed Jalen Hyatt until you saw Braylon Staley figure it out. Because Squirrel was okay. Dante Thornton was never comfortable in the inside. He was so much better on the outside, and he was awesome last year for Tennessee. It's just Staley is the next guy, right? Like Staley is, I think, your best slot receiver you've had at Tennessee since Jalen Hyatt. And what's interesting is he has that same kind of, he's not as fast as Jalen, but he's got burner mentality. Obviously, you saw it against Syracuse. Like he's got great top end speed, but he's great at crossers. He's just super versatile. I think he's more fluid in the screens. Like, Squirrel, that play just drove me nuts. Squirrel, those quick passes. Staley can do something with it, So could Mike Matthews. They have more wiggle. They can do stuff, make the first guy miss. But yeah, Staley is going to be a player. Like there's no question Braylon Staley is going to be a great Tennessee player. And I think he already is.
Yeah, you said the word fluid, and he looks like a pro out there. And, I was pulling up the PFF grades as you were talking, and did remember correctly, he was the highest graded offensive player. He played 69 snaps, 75.8 grade per PFF. So, those metrics are bearing it out as well. He just, like I said, he looks like a pro out there, very shifty. He's not just relegated to quick passes either. He can do a lot of things. And like you said, he's emerging as a star right now. I know you asked for stock down as well. Yeah. I mean, it's tough. Like, Ty Redmond gets cooked a couple of times, but I don't want to put too much blame on him. And Tennessee secondary is obviously really beat up. I think the rush defense, Tennessee got bullied a bit there at times against Georgia. So I guess I'd look to the defense in those position groups as being stocked down, but it's really just more of injuries. Tennessee's got to get guys back, and I think their defensive performance will end up being much better as a result.
I think that's fair to an extent. I would say it's fair to say stock down on linebackers.
Yeah.
I was very bullish. I mean, you're healthy there. It's just you're just young,
Yeah.
and the guys that are older are just not quite there. I think Arion needs one more year at Tennessee. Like, I think he should come back for one more. I don't think he's quite. And look, there's still a lot of games left to be played this fall, but I think he's a good player. I don't think he's an elite player to this point at Tennessee. He has the talent and the ability to do so. He just hasn't gotten there. And you just look at the rotation, and you're like, with him, T-Lander, Bolton, and Spillman, it's just kind of, it's okay. Like, it's an okay group, but it's not, I don't know. It's not where it's been in years past. And I think I'm more bullish on them in 26 and 27. Like, I'm a huge Edwin Spillman guy, and I think he needs to continue to get more and more reps, but it's not an elite, it's not a great unit right now.
Who do you think played better against Georgia, Spillman or T-Lander?
Spillman.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, Spillman should be starting at this point, or at the very least getting more snaps.
And it's funny because PFF actually graded T-Lander better.
What was the snap count different?
T-Lander played literally the same, 54 to 53 in favor of T-Lander.
But you said Spillman played 53?
Yes, one less.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. I mean, he's getting more and more snaps and more trust. And yeah, Spillman is going to be a really good player. And then safety. It's just, you're just so thin there. And Turrentine did not obviously have a great night on Saturday, and neither did Edersberg. But Edersberg's a lot younger. Like,
Yes, exactly. And I also feel like everybody, safety's the group you're collectively lowest, on, because that's just Tennessee's weakest position group. So,
I mean, I was thinking about this. It's like, if you go through the different units right now, corner, it's the weakest since when? Due to injuries.
I mean, I don't know, 2021.
Yeah, I would probably go back to 21. Safety.
Yeah.
I think it's the weakest they've ever had.
Since before I started covering the team. Yeah. So
I would say linebacker.
Paying attention closely. Linebacker, yeah, they don't have a guy like they've had, like, say what you will about Banks, but he was a big part of the defense. And yeah.
I think it's weaker than that unit in the early.
I mean, last year with linebacker group was similar to what it is this year, though. So.
But when they were healthy, like, I just like Keenan Pili was a really good player. Like, Keenan Pili just could not stay healthy.
Yeah, but he barely played, so it's kind of like.
But he was good when he played.
Same as they were last year to me.
True, that's fair.
I would expect Tennessee's linebacker core to be better this season as a whole than it was a year ago, just because it's the same guys for the most part, and they're a year older.
I think Leo's as a unit is better than last year.
Yeah,
I think Caleb Herring had a really good day on Saturday. Yeah,
I feel like they underwhelmed last year, and Ross and Josephs played amazingly. Big breakout for Josh Josephs this year, feels like.
Yeah, I feel really good about their three, what they're going to rotate there. Like, being able to mix and match Josephs, Herring, and Ross is going to be really, really important for Tennessee. I'm really, really bullish on the Leos.
Yeah, and your boy Ross out snapping Herring.
Oh, so love Ross, man. He had 2 plays against Georgia on Saturday where he just bull rushed and just destroyed Georgia's right tackle, back-to-back plays. It was great. Jordan Ross is a great player out of Vestavia Hills, Alabama. Yeah.
How about Don Bailey playing 65 snaps at D tackle? Shout out, Don Bailey.
What are you doing? Like, you can't just put true freshman Isaiah Campbell and Ethan Etley out there. He had to. Credit to him, man. And he was good.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he was solid.
And Tyree West made it easier, though, because Tyree West was really good at strong side defensive end on Saturday. So when West is playing well, it makes it easier for you to slide Don Bailey inside so that you don't worry about the other side, And West is a great player. He's just kind of up and down. But when you get good Tyree West, it's really helpful for Tennessee. And Tyree Weathersby, too. Need them healthy. And I think he needs to play some serious snaps to continue to get some reps there. Maybe Ethan Davis stock down?
Just because he's not producing or getting a lot of playing
he's just
time?
not. I don't know. I'm so conflicted, Jack, because it's better for Tennessee that the tight ends are really not a part of this, but it's also like it's kind of a make or break year.
You hate the tight ends.
I don't hate the tight ends.
You don't want the tight ends to ever get a catch.
I think they should never lead Tennessee in receiving. Like, they lost the game if Miles Kitzman or Ethan Davis ever leads Tennessee in receiving. But I do think they got to eat some. But the best versions of this Tennessee offense, historically under Heupel, it's just when the receivers are thriving. Like, you need the receivers to be thriving and the tight ends to help. They're like the sprinkles on a Sunday. They're not the ice cream. They're not the vanilla ice cream. That's I feel like that's the wide receivers.
Also, stock up on Star Thomas. I think he's Tennessee's best running back.
Which I did not see coming before the season.
I know you've been massive on Peyton Lewis. I actually thought that Deshaun Bishop, like, even though he's not the same talent, I thought Tennessee would lean on him a little more. Touch-wise, he's still getting a ton, but I don't know, just in big spots, I thought he'd be leaned on a little bit more. But Star Thomas, man, I mean, he just looks more explosive.
Can we get gloves on Bishop? Because he was adamant about no gloves, but he has 2 drops out of the backfield. The hands aren't great. Are we sure he doesn't need gloves?
No,
he's adamant against them, but it's like maybe try him this week against UAB.
Yeah, I like the no gloves. It reminds me of like old school tight ends in the mid 2000s.
I don't know,
like Jack Doyle and Scott Chandler.
Am I just a huge dork for not liking the no gloves and also not liking the Sam Pendleton face mask?
I mean, no, I don't think so.
I just feel like that's a defensive lineman face mask. I don't like that for my offensive line.
Yeah, I honestly agree. So, no, you're not a dork.
Okay.
But the no gloves is cool. Like, it's different. It's unique.
Yeah. You just got to catch the ball at the backfield, man. A little bit more. Like, you got to, if you're going to go no gloves, then we got to make sure we're
have good hands.
Those bad boys. Jack Foster, what can the good folks check out from you over at Omaha Productions and Rocky Top Insider this week?
Yeah, so much is going on with Omaha Audio, which is the department I work for. Lots of podcasts. Of course, SV Pod, my main one, twice a week. I was actually on SV Pod for the first time ever Sunday. Made my debut. It was at 1 a.m. after Saturday's slate of games. I was a zombie, and Steve brought me on to talk about fantasy, so that was a lot of fun. You got Always College Football 4 times a week. Lots of stuff going on there. Mina Kimes Show twice a week, doing recaps and previews of the NFL slate. And then new pod to Omaha Audio, the Schrager Hour with Peter Schrager, who is recently became an ESPN employee, now has an Omaha pod once a week, doing interviews with some of the biggest sports figures you've known for decades, like Al Michaels. And we had Eli Manning on this week to tell some stories. Great Jackson Dart stories from Eli. Lots of good stuff to check out over at Omaha.
I love it. Jack Foster, always a pleasure, and I'll talk to you again next week. All right, we're back here on the Chase Thomas podcast, where I'm now joined by Knoxville News Sentinel's Adam Sparks. Adam, good afternoon, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. I'm already I'm riveted by this football season, Tennessee's football season specifically, for all the reasons that I thought I would be. And that's because didn't know what to expect from this team, and I'm surprised every week, including this past week. So this is a fun season. I'll say that, at least from a guy covering it.
Are you excited for UAB on Saturday? That's gonna be a tough one. No.
Well, I mean, I'm interested in I shouldn't say no. I'm interested in seeing the offense do what the offense has been doing. This already has, I'm sure it does for a lot of fans, this already has 2022 vibes. I'm not saying they're going to win that number of games, or they're going to get close to the playoff but not make it, or be as good, break those records. Joey Aguilar is not Hendon Hooker. Chris Brazel's not Jalen Hyatt. All those things. I'm not saying that's a apples to apples, but my feeling of this team and watching this team feels very similar to 2022. Because in 2022, you thought, hey, this is going to be fun. This is going to be a show. They're going to hang 40 on whoever the nameless team is across the way. Now, if it's UAB, it may be 60. But if it's Mississippi State, it may be 40. That was fun about that season. I like offense. I mean, that's the fan part of me. I just want to see a bunch of points. And that's the feel of this. Last year, sometimes was a little more of a grind. The reason that Tennessee lost at Arkansas last year, in retrospect, was predictable because that was an offense that was really going to get you about 21 points, maybe 24. It was going to be a grind. This does not feel like a grind. This feels like win or lose, whoever you're playing, Tennessee can put up 40 on that team, like they just put up 41 on Georgia. So that's fun. That's fun. So when you go into a UAB game, you could say, hey, they can put up 70 today, and that would be fun to watch. So it's more of a up-tempo basketball type team right now, which is what I loved about 22, and I think could be entertaining about this team.
Yeah, and I think on the defensive side, like there is some 21-22 vibes too. Like I said before the year, this was probably going to be the worst defense since 21. And not just with the injuries. And I mean, you saw like just how much they lost, the 30 plus guys, and they were kind of shorthanded. The difference now is they're not really they're shorthanded in some injury spots, but they have talent. Like the talent's just all young. That's the problem. Like they're just playing so many redshirt freshmen and young guys like Ethan Utley, Isaiah Campbell. They're having to grow up fast. You have the linebackers who, I mean, I think this is probably the weakest linebacker rotation you've had since 21 in a lot of ways. I think Arian Carter is still not great. He's good, but he hasn't made that final leap. I think you're kind of weak with T-Lander and Bolton, and no Jordan Burns has been there. Like, I'm a big Jaden Harmon guy. I love Edwin Spillman. I think he has the most talent of that group, and it seems like he's getting more and more confidence from the people from William Engine Company that he's going to become more of a snap guy. And, I mean, we're at a point where he needs to be out snapping Jeremiah T-Lander in big games. But, I mean, Ty Redmond, true freshman on the outside. He got challenged in a major way. Idris Farouk's going through growing pains at safety. It's probably the weakest you've been at safety in a lot of years. You're having to play Jalen McMurray out of position at star, and Boo Carter has regressed from where he was a year ago at star. I don't know. I just think, though, people are going to get mad at me for being negative on this, but I'm just like, the defense can't get off the field on 3rd and 4th down. You talk about the Arkansas game last year. Arkansas is running the football again, and Taylor Green's better than he was a year ago. If Tennessee doesn't get healthy in the interior against Arkansas in a couple weeks, I mean, Arkansas is going to run all over Tennessee. Like Tennessee doesn't have the body, so I just think Tennessee's got real defensive problems that aren't going away.
Yeah, I don't see the comps as much. I don't know that there's a comp in the Heupel era to this defense. To me,
yeah.
I can see what you're saying about the 21-22 teams, but in some ways they're opposite in that 21-22 was older guys that had limitations.
Yes.
So you kind of saw where their ceiling was, right?
Right.
This is the opposite. This is really high ceilings, but they're young, as you mentioned.
Yes.
So they're kind of even in how they're playing with 21-22, but for very different reasons.
Yes. It's a great way of putting it.
Yeah. And so so you could have a better defense at the end of the year than you have early in the year.
Right.
I think injuries are just an enormous story with this team. I mean, now, every team has injuries. I hear this from Tennessee fans, but you hear it from fans. Every beat writer hears it from fans. Why our team? Why is their team always hurt? Hey, listen, buddy, the other team has injuries too.
Yeah.
But particularly the fact that Jermod McCoy is the best player on the team when healthy, and that his same position had the other injury in Ricky Gibson. I think that is just, that's a pretty tough double punch. If you had Moy and Hobbs against Georgia, do you win that game? I don't know. If you have Ricky Gibson and Jermod McCoy, or either of them, do you win that game? I think you probably do.
Yeah, I mean, does Gunner throw that 4th and 6 to London Humphreys if that's Jermod McCoy on London? Yeah, the throw is perfect, but does he challenge Jermod in the corner of the end zone?
Yeah, he probably never throws it. Yeah, they
right.
probably don't, because they had it's got to be now or never.
Right.
And in a now or never, you attack the vulnerability. And Ricky Gibson or Jermod, I mean, Jermod's obviously wouldn't. Ricky Gibson would not have been seen as a vulnerability. It would have been just like an even. Our receiver versus your corner is going to be about even at best. So they would have just called something different. So I don't know that there's a comp defensively. The comp to 22, I think so far looks like it could be accurate, at least the feel of it, the vibe. To the defense, Arian Carter to me is a high-level NFL player. Do
you think he's there now, though?
In flashes. I think his trajectory is going up. It's still going up. I think maybe the frustration is it's not going up as quickly as people would want. I think T-Lander is probably similar to those 21-22 players, which is very experienced, but there's a ceiling.
Yeah.
And he's probably around that ceiling right now. I mean, there are limitations, I think, in coverage, lateral quickness, those sort of things. I think Spillman's got a high ceiling. So I'm not as down on the linebackers as much. The thing about the linebackers in this defense, especially now, is we kind of see the best and the worst of them. Now, you may look closer at the film. I don't look at a lot of just I watch the film, but I don't watch every play and pause every play and look. But the way this defense is going, it's a blitzing, attacking defense. So we see Spillman or Carter or whoever get a sack, get a TFL. Hey, they're awesome. Or we see them blow a coverage on a running back or a tight end. They're terrible. And so I think we see with this defense, because it takes a lot of risks, we see the highs and the lows and not the middle as much. I think when healthy, this defense is better than 22. But, the offense is will probably be a little less than what 22 is. So maybe it sort of balances itself out.
What's been the biggest surprise about Tennessee through 3 games for you?
I mean, I guess the passing game. I mean, it's not like I thought they would be bad throwing the ball, but Joey Aguilar had obvious questions because he was new and he had to learn the offense early, and we all know that quickly, and we all know that. Would he fit? It wasn't like you doubted Joey Aguilar. It was just complete unknown. The wide receivers, there was talent there, but nobody had produced of this group coming back. I mean, I have today on Knox News, knoxnews.com, I have a big piece on Chris Brazzell and some of the background that went into what happened with him last year. It's just, there were so many questions. There were so many things that had to align. The offense had to change. The passing concepts had to change. Joey Aguilar had to hit. He had to fit this offense. The things that happened at receiver last year had to be for reasons other than the wide receivers. And they had to hit on all those guys, and they had to be healthy. They're healthy enough so far. The top 3 are healthy. And so all those things had to hit for the passing game to work out. And it has so far. It has wonderfully. So that was probably my biggest surprise, that they just hit. It was an affirmative to all those questions. Looking back at it now, and again, I'll reference my piece I had on Brazzell. Last season, the wide receivers came in sort of a carousel into Kelsey Pope's office every week. I think it was Sunday, usually after a game, and would come in and say, these wide splits are difficult for me. This is the guys that are on well, I think some of the ones that are not here also. Can we not run this type of route? Can we not run this type of route combination? This is what I'm used to. I'm not used to this. It's hard for me to adjust to this. And some of those guys that were bringing those suggestions did not have skins on the wall, so to speak. They were freshmen, or they hadn't produced. They were inconsistent. It wasn't like Cedric Tillman coming in and saying, "Can we try this?" You listen to him. Like somebody that hadn't produced or is brand new, you say, "Well, we're in the middle of a year. This is our offense. We'll try to look at the offensive tweaks after the year, but we can't change it now. And we have a redshirt freshman quarterback." Now you come to this year, they made those changes immediately after the season. Kelsey Pope said the other day, right after the Ohio State game, they got together as a staff and said, "Okay, we gotta change up this offense some." And they listened to some of what the receivers had said. And you've seen tighter formations this year. They don't do the wide splits every play. You see guys moving around. Brazzell's been in the slot some. Matthews has been in the slot some. They've stacked receivers. They've done a little bit of stuff, though, from different formations that they did in 22 with height. And so had you known all those things that they were going to change up, with or without Nico, then you would say, okay, well, maybe this offense can have something. The passing offense can have something that we had not seen before. Again, in retrospect, boy, I hate to sound fanish here, but Nico probably wasn't. The offense was a problem last year, stagnant, but Nico may not have been as much of a victim of the offense and the talent around him as he was a catalyst for the problems. I think his limitations. I tended to think last year that he was a game manager. That's sort of what he looked like. If you took the 5-star off of him, you looked at what he did. He's a game manager. Run the ball, complete this, that, and hit a couple throws. I think that part of him actually limited the offense. Regardless of who they brought in, they may have been a little better offensively without Nico. And that's a weird thing to say, because I do think he's ultra talented. But So that's why I'm surprised the passing game. A lot of things we didn't know. There were big question marks. They've answered all of them, and just give props for the coaching staff to say we've really got to change some things. And they did, and so far they've all worked out.
Yeah, and I think what's funny is like, this is why it's just, you get to a certain point, you're like, I just want to play some games to see what actually is true and what's not, because you just hear so many different things, and you're like, all right, let's see it to believe it on a lot of this stuff. But when people were talking up Deshaun Brame and Jack Van Dorselaer and Ethan Davis, and the tight ends were like, we're going to live in 12 personnel, it's going to be great, even with our how thin we are receiver, and it's like, not even close. Like we're not even close. Ethan Davis has really struggled as a pass catcher and getting involved there through 3 weeks. He's been better as a run blocker, and I think he's continuing to grow there. Miles Kitzman doing a couple crossers a game, but you see the difference. Tennessee's offense, the way that it has to go is through the receivers. It has to be big chunk plays down the field, because this was the thing before the Georgia game that I was with a lot of different Tennessee and Georgia people, where I came to that game where there were a lot of Tennessee fans who thought, I think, that Tennessee could win that game if they just scored like 24 points. That it's like you could beat, and I was like, I don't see that happening. I think Tennessee, the best version, the way to beat Georgia is, and Georgia's not going to let you go down the field 3 times for 10 plus play drives and score touchdowns. Like, that's not realistic. To win these big games against Ohio State, Georgia, whoever, some of these drives have to be like 2 plays, 67-yard touchdown plays. Like that's not realistic. No matter what kind of Baylor offense you're running, whatever, you need those chunk play touchdowns. Like, Tennessee does not work as a national contender without those coming back in the offense. So we can love the tight ends and development there and getting them more involved. But if there is a game this fall and it's a big game and Miles Kitzman leads Tennessee in receiving, they lost that game. They lost it last year. You look at the Georgia game, Miles Kitzman led them there. Guess what? You're losing that game 10 times out of 10. That means the offense had a terrible day through the air if the tight ends lead things. And it's really hard for Tennessee to win that way. So for me, I was like, it's really, I mean, we could look at the tight ends and stuff, but ultimately, the chunk plays have to be there. The chunk plays aren't there. Tennessee doesn't have a shot.
It is weird to think, if you replay last season and probably the last 2 seasons with Joe as well, and you hit on 20% more of the deep balls.
Yeah.
How everything changes.
Yeah.
But you have to do it. I mean, if in the Alabama game, if Nico hits on, what he missed, like 5 deep balls early in that game, if he hits on 2 of them, that game is in the 40s, and and it's over in the third quarter.
Yep.
But it's just a crazy thing. And this is one of those things. This is one of those things that I think sometimes we undervalue about making all the throws, right? That's an NFL thing. Oh, he makes all the throws. In the NFL, you have to have at least an A- arm usually to be successful. In college, you don't necessarily have to. I think Joey Aguilar has like a B+ arm. Right. Nico's an A+. Joe is an A+. There's something about, and Hendon Hooker probably had like a B+ arm, which is why he's having a little difficulty in the NFL. There's something about guys that have a good arm but not great arm that have touch that those guys with the rocket arms often don't have. Yeah. And those are better deep ball throwers. I mean, I was watching the Cowboys-Giants game the other day, and Russell Wilson's one of the best deep ball throwers ever. Does not have an A+ arm, has a good arm, not a great arm. And so, the fact that they hit those with Hendon, they're hitting those with Joey. If you had just had those in the offense consistently the past couple of years, that probably changes just so many things in this offense. And it's not just that one thing, but that's certainly one of the things.
I mean, think about 22, the Georgia-Tennessee game. Got, like, if you go back, there are 5 plays where Cedric Tillman had a drop. Like, they challenged. And what people forget is, like, that's those plays, if you hit 2 of them, it's a different game. Like, Tennessee actually had a couple guys open in that game that were either dropped or something else happened. The ball, I mean, Hendon Hooker was just a little off down the field, but Tennessee actually got open like 5-ish times in that game down the field. And if they reel those in, it's a different game entirely. Like, it's just this offense, there's a lot, unfortunately, like, there are 5 to 7 plays down the field that if they go a certain way for Tennessee, then this offense looks a whole lot better than it does. I mean, look at Kentucky last year with Nico, where there were 2 drops, Brazel and Nimrod, that would have been 4 touchdowns, 400+ yards for Nico, and you feel different about the Kentucky game. But it's just it's like in the NBA where everyone says it's like it's a make or miss league. It's kind of like Heupel. It's just kind of a, hey, make or miss and like 5 deep shots. And if you don't hit a lot of those if Chris Brazzell doesn't come down with some of these, like in his great DeAndre Hopkins impressions with offensive pass interference that I very much love, except when they're playing the Atlanta Falcons. That's great. But I mean, you have to hit those. When you hit them, it's awesome because you forget that you had this lull from the second to third quarter where you couldn't do anything basically.
Yeah. The way that this Georgia game played out is not what Kirby Smart wants ever.
Yes.
It is what Josh Heupel wants. He wanted it last year. He just didn't have the firepower of the offense to do it. I was late at night on Saturday night. I was walking in my car with Mark Weiser, who's a longtime Georgia beat writer, and he made the observation, and he may have written about this week. I'm not sure, but he made the observation. He said that felt like one of Kirby's losses to Nick Saban before Kirby broke through. It was was that the national title game? Maybe the fourth down. Anyway, there were a couple of those where
that was the SEC title game.
Yeah, where Kirby played the type of game he wanted to, and his team outplayed Saban, and they still lost. But then that sort of portended what came later when Kirby finally did break through and beat Alabama. So you could see it didn't happen the first time, but you could see it coming. That's what this felt like a little bit with Heupel and Kirby. You didn't break through, but you played the type of game for the first time that you would break through. And so maybe this happens next year. Maybe this happens in 2 years. But yeah, it just showed this is what Josh Heupel teams are. Okay on defense and a lot of fireworks on offense. And that's how he wants to do it. Even though last year he talked around that and said, well, there's different ways to win. There's not different ways for you to win, buddy. Yeah. Like you want to win this way. And great, let's do that.
Are you worried about the running game at all?
No, as long as the passing game is there.
Okay.
I mean, this offense rushes for 2,500 yards with you and me in the backfield. They
didn't on Saturday. They didn't run the ball well. Peyton Lewis, I was big on coming into the year. He's not got off to a great start. I kind of worry about that. Like Starr is your best back. I think Deshaun Bishop, they got to stop throwing to Deshaun. Love Deshaun, but gotta stop. Maybe he needs the gloves. He's adamant against the gloves, but maybe it's time to bring the gloves back in there. But I don't know. I mean, you had 3 down. I mean, obviously everyone remembers the 3 rushes in a row and not being able to get the first down and going really conservative there after the Gunner fumble. But I don't know. One of the things that I kind of wonder about that I've just jotted down and I kind of want to go back and look in the Georgia game and a couple before is, look, the wide splits got kind of, played out for Tennessee last year. But what they did not get played out for was Dylan Sampson and Jalen Wright the last 2 years, where you have light boxes and wide splits, where Jalen averaged 7.3 yards per carry 2 years ago. Dylan Sampson, obviously a huge second. Like, they benefited. Like, Tennessee's running game has benefited from those wide splits. The passing game has fallen off because of it. And you talked about in your piece that people can go read at knoxnews.com is like, hey, like, we need to fix some stuff with the receivers. But when they are getting bunched up closer to the line of scrimmage and they're doing different things, that crowds the line of scrimmage, that crowds the rushing lanes. And I think I do kind of wonder if this is going to be kind of a step back year for the rushing attack, because you don't have those light boxes that you're accustomed to the last couple of years.
I think it's very game to game. And I know I sound a little bit like Josh Heupel there, but it is game to game. It was Georgia. They needed to do it that way to try to have success against Georgia, and they got it immediately. I do think there's a different playbook in that game where if the throws don't hit early, you may have seen them go more run heavy and let's try to win this game with 27 points type of thing, with some wide splits and things like that. I think they saw what was working. They thought that would work. It did work, and so they went with it. I think this will be very game to game. I mean, they'll probably run the ball with a lot of success against UAB, so the confidence will still be there. The running backs will be happy. O-line will feel good about it. Mississippi State, Arkansas, that stretch, it wouldn't shock me if they had some pretty good running games in there. It's very game to game. I think they feel confident now they can do the wide splits, run the ball with a light box. They can go a little more middle of the field. They can throw to the tight ends. They can throw to the receivers. I do think this is going to be very like, remember, this is a quarterback that got in the summer, and so you're kind of running through everything for the first time with him. So why not use that to your advantage and say, okay, you just learned this. Let's scrap that. Let's learn something new and let's do this. I do think they're going to be a lot different. I think they're going to be somewhat different game to game. And the running back talent, I mean, Deshaun Bishop is a Jabari Small comp, I think.
Yeah.
Good, solid, does all the fundamental things well. There's a ceiling there. I think Star Thomas is a young Dylan Sampson comp. I mean, ultimately Dylan, was SEC Player of the Year, and Star's not that. But Dylan, when it was a trio, Dylan then is comparable, I think, to a Star Thomas now. You don't have the Jalen right? Because Peyton's not there. They've got to figure out a way for him to get north and south and go, because that's the way he needs.
I think he needs to play more. Like, part of it is like, I just feel like that guy can't get in a rhythm. I feel like he's not in a rhythm at all. Like, I feel he's
not in a rhythm.
Yeah.
So that's funny you say that, because that's interesting, because a lot of people I talk to say you've got to trim back Peyton Lewis because he's your third, and you don't need to just give him reps when you could have one of the better two out there. But that's interesting. You're saying if you give him 10 carries instead of 5, those second 5 are really good.
Because that guy's not afraid of contact. Like, you saw that goal line where he's just like, he's not afraid in short yardage situations. Like, he's got the highest speed of those 3, and he's not afraid of contact. I just feel like that dude needs more rep. Like, he's just not playing enough, and I just think he's having trouble settling in. I would give him more carries.
I think he's a little bit like an Ethan Davis at tight end, which is he's trying to figure out what he is.
Yeah.
Because he came in as one thing. He came in as a burner. Peyton Lewis, right? The fastest guy on the team, burner.
I mean, that's what Jalen Wright did.
Yeah. But then they said, well, you gotta put on some weight. You got to run between the tackles. And so he did that. And his whole thing, this preseason was like, I mean, the guy's got thighs like Earl Campbell. I'm gonna run. In his first touchdown, he was at Syracuse when he just bulldozed a guy.
100%.
That's what he wants to show that he can do, right? Like, Ethan Davis was supposed to be this vertical tight end threat catching the ball, and he wanted to show, hey, I can run over people in the blocking game. So Peyton Lewis kind of has to figure out what he is and be comfortable in that, and they're trying to figure out what he is. I don't know how you work through that when it's a trio,
right?
Aside from maybe a UAB game when if he can hit on one big play and say, okay, now we know we need to have that in the Mississippi State game. So, it's you got to work through it, but you don't want to take touches away from Star Thomas in big SEC games.
Yeah.
And I think for a comfort level, you want Deshaun out there at the beginning. So it sort of squeezes Peyton a little bit.
It's a fine line, man. That's why they're paid the big bucks, right? They have to figure out the right way to manage it. And you kind of take for granted the just bell cow last year. You didn't have to think about it. You're just like, all right, we're giving the ball to Dylan Sampson over and over again here in the second half. Like, outside of that first half fumble and when he gets benched for a little bit, like you know where the ball is going from then on out. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see where that goes.
And just one thing on that, when you get to the offseason in the portal, there's only, as of now, there's only going to be one portal period this year in January. I'm not saying Peyton Lewis would look into that, but Star Thomas is gone. Did they feel good coming back next year with Deshaun and Peyton in a duo if Peyton never really finds his way? Because they have young backs that are coming. They have a couple of freshmen.
Yeah.
Do you feel good about all that? Do they look in the portal to add a guy? Because they don't.
Well, they don't have a recruit in this class right now because they missed on Hyder. So it's like they're gonna take a portal back anyway. I don't see how you can't take a portal back.
Yeah, but what does that signal to Peyton Lewis? You're the third man, and now you're the third man again? Or do you tell him you got to beat out this new guy to be the second man? Or maybe you're better than Deshaun? I mean, every team goes through this every offseason. But I always look ahead of how these decisions in the season affect what the portal will be for next year.
There's so many of those right now, Adam, on this team that I'm just like, because I think it's a huge year for Ethan Davis, like you said, like with just the talent behind him, it's make or break for him. And then you have Mike, because I think Braylon has solidified it. Like, Braylon's your slot of the future. Like, Braylon's the dude.
Yes.
Brazel's probably parlaying this into a NFL early. I mean, Tom McShay's maybe got him at wide receiver 1. Like, Chris Brazel, if he keeps like Brazel's gone, he needs to go and be an early round pick, which was great for Tennessee too.
And then Mike will slide into his spot as the 1.
Well, it's interesting you say that. Tristan Keys is coming in. He's playing. Like, Tristan Keys is starting day 1. Like, there is no question in my mind, barring injury, Tristan Keys is occupying one of those outside spots.
In the same way that Nico started day 1 and David Sanders started it. No,
David Sanders would have started. Like, David's I think it's one of those deals where I would be very,
a
I'd be very
receiver.
surprised.
Also, it's easier to start immediately. True.
Yes. And then Travis Smith is right there on the outside. It's like my thing with Mike, and look, I'm biased. We went to the same high school. Like I want Mike to thrive. He almost went in the portal this past cycle. He's clear number 3 in production and being comfortable in the scheme here in year 2. Like Staley is just a great, great player. I'm really excited about him. But Keys is coming in. You got a lot of time. You're taking 4 receivers this cycle. Like you got Sleazy Moa, Tyreek King. I mean, Legend Bay, I think, is a running back. That's like one of those where you have to have the conversation where I'm like, no, you're not in the slot. You're too like you're gadgety and you can use him in a lot of different ways. I mean, Mike, I wish we could do this, Adam. And I'm taking way too much time here, but I wish we could have.
No, you're good. I got all day.
Well, this I can't wait to see what you think about this, because this is something I've been sitting on this whole season and watching this all play out. Is I wish you could have a conversation with Mike and be like, because he was a great safety at Parkview. He played both ways. Where I'm like, hey, are you sure we're having a lot of problems in the back end here, and you have a lot more. We flip Mike to safety going forward because I think he might be a better safety than he is receiver. And then you move Boo Carter to offense, because I don't know if Boo Carter's best trait is on defense and you're maximizing what he is, because I think he's the hardest guy to tackle on this team. I think he's the best playmaker on this team. And I just feel like they're playing the wrong sides of the ball. I really feel like in my heart of hearts, Mike was meant to play safety. And I think like a KJ Bolden type on that back end. And I think Boo Carter was meant to be a slot guy who just does everything for an offense. And if he does go somewhere else after this year, he's going to ball out on offense, and it's going to drive me nuts, because I do think he's naturally most gifted there and can help you the most on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I used to put aside these things like that's dumb, guys flipping sides and all that. But after Travis Hunter, I don't. I at least listen to those things. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing: when you think about offseason and portal and all that, it's not that you need to have a plan that's for sure going to work to keep guys. You have to have a reasonable argument and conversation with those guys to keep them around. The reasonable argument to Mike Matthews would be, hey, Brazzles are one, and he's going to go to the NFL, and so you're next in line. So you're the one. Whether that comes to fruition or not, who knows? But you can say that. And the new guys coming in, you can say, hey, listen, our one just left, and so it's wide open. You could be the one immediately. And so I think the way that they have this sort of flowing through a wide receiver actually is going to work pretty well and keep these classes together.
I like it. I'm very fascinated to see how all that goes. I'm very curious how, because you're going to lose some guys. I just don't know who it's. I mean, it's just a lot of young talent in that receiver room, and I just think there's so much turnover at receiver and corner because you can't play everybody. And like someone made a great point about this of like receiver. It's like you should not, like, I think fans really wanted more rotation at receiver. And what you're seeing is like, no, you actually don't. Like the best teams don't rotate. Ohio State's not rotating out Carnell Tate and Ibuka and everybody else. Like you don't actually want that. You want Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt and Brew McCoy playing close to 2,000 snaps. Like in 21, part of what made everything come together with Hendon and company is he got so many reps because they all stayed healthy. The big three of Cedric and Velus Jones and Javonte Payton played for combined almost 2,000 snaps.
Yeah.
Like that's where you actually want to be. Like Alex Golesh is a pretty smart guy, pretty sharp offensive mind. I think you look around the sport, the best teams, the best offenses, passing offenses, they're not rotating a bunch. You want to rotate at running back. You want to rotate on the defensive line. You want to rotate at linebacker. You don't want to rotate a lot at corner and receiver. Like you kind of want to play Jermod and Ricky Gibson a bunch. You want to play Colton Hood and Ty Redmond a bunch. Like you don't really want to rotate at those spots. So it makes it harder to keep those guys happy, but the best teams do not rotate at those spots.
Yeah, it's a fine line because it all depends on talent. If you've got two really good corners, if you got two really good receivers, you don't want to rotate. But if you got somewhat even, then you sort of are forced into a rotation. But at receiver, they should have two guys back next year, and then they'll have some other guys come in that will have a chance. It's as hard as it is in the portal era to keep these things together. I think the way that they have receiver right now is a best case scenario. Similar to quarterback. I mean, they have two guys that will come back next year, and they'll have one really good guy coming in, and natural selection will probably clip one of those guys.
Oh, that's my favorite. Oh, can we end on this, Adam? I need Josh Hoover to calm down over there at TCU because he's balling out and too much. He's got one more year of eligibility. Like my dream is Sawyer Robertson for 1 year. Probably is. I don't think he has a case to get one more year at Tennessee. I mean, Joey Aguilar. I don't know how that works with Diego if he wins this game. Like I don't know if Joey Aguilar gets one more year.
Let's not do that. No,
but I don't think you can go into next year and like just take a transfer body to just help like a Gaston Moore and to help between George and Faison, because you're just seeing around the league, man. I don't know. Like there's obvious a lot of Tennessee fans feel a certain type of way about Nico and have been through the redshirt freshman 5-star type deal. You saw Lagway struggling right out of the gate in year 2. Arch has sat, and he's a young quarterback. He's struggling. The quarterbacks who are thriving are the Taylon Greens, the Diego Pavias, the Joey Aguilars, the John Mateers. Tennessee's got their window to win a national title is like 27. Like that's the year I've circled where I think where they're going to be at blue chip ratio, and certain guys are going to be 3-year guys like Sanders in year 3. You look at who's going to be like the main key cogs in 27. I'm like, I could see it. Like there's a 26. I think they're definitely a CFP team depending on what it looks like. But if you're starting true freshman, redshirt freshman, there's going to be some really painful learning curves, and you don't have the schedule that you've had the last 2 years. Like that's the other part. The schedule is going to be a lot harder next year, and I don't know. I just think it's hard to keep them happy. And in a perfect world, do you want George or Faison to just win this job, and they're your long-term answer there? But man, there's part of me. It's like if you can keep them happy, be like, hey, we're going to go out and get a Big 12 primetime quarterback here for 1 more year as a gap to keep this thing humming. I don't know what they're going to do, but that's hard.
Had Joey Aguilar not come here and existed in this, then I would say you're crazy that they're never going to do that. But yeah, I mean, you have to think of feelings and keeping guys happy and all that. There's only going to be one portal cycle. So
yeah,
who you bring in and who you push out or who you let go is all going to happen right then. I mean, obviously we're saying this assuming that Jake Merklinger will go into the portal. He hadn't said that. We don't know that. I just think it's logical that he will. They really like George McIntyre. I mean, they really do. Yeah. It's got to be a really good read on them from practice and what he's going to put on film and games to say, we think he can be the guy next year immediately. They got to hit on that. They got to be right on that. Because Faison, he may hit, he may start immediately, but you really aren't going to know that until he's in practices.
Right.
And then, so you're going through spring practice and then you don't have a portal to decide later, well, we need to go get, so it makes it tough.
And I think they got to take a big time quarterback.
They can't. It's hard to add. And the other way is, you just go add a veteran guy somewhere to be your number 3 or number 2.
Those are harder than
because you can't sell that to a guy. Hey, we need you to go hold a clipboard. That
or like sell it to real competition between you and Faison and George.
Right. So you kind of got to do it or not do it.
Yes.
I think it makes it interesting because now that you look at Joey, there's a pretty good case to say, Josh, go get somebody who's played a lot and just go with that. But if you do that, does George McIntyre say, well, that wasn't the deal and he's gone? I think he's in it for the long haul. But if he's not, if George McIntyre is not ready to be the starter next season, why would he be the following season? I think that would be his counter argument. You could say another year and all that sort of stuff. It makes games like this, I'll bring a full circle to this week. I mean, it makes games like this against UAB important because he gets game reps.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see him run the offense, and you want to come out of that and say, okay, I could see this building to be him being the starter next year.
30 seconds and we get out on this, Adam. Are we sure Sam Pendleton is the long-term answer at center? There's some snapping stuff going on. I want to see Satterwhite get a lot of run with the ones this Saturday. I want to see what he looks like against UAB with the ones.
Sam Pendleton, Satterwhite will. He'll get reps. Pendleton culture-wise is Cooper Mays. He is the leader in the clubhouse. He is the guy. Everything that you want in that intangibles he has. And they both had some snapping issues in the preseason. I think they would both in games too. I mean, the bad snap that he had against ETSU was because he was spinning the ball in his hand when he was supposed to snap it. He had not adjusted to the tempo to where thought he could go up there, spin the ball for 3 or 4 seconds, and then snap it. And instead, Joey was like, "No, snap it now," and he was spinning the ball when he snapped it. So he'll work through that. I'm pretty confident. He's here for another 2 years. Wendell Moy's here for another year. Jesse Perry's will be here for a long time. And then, Sanders is a whole nother issue. Lance Hurd will probably go to the NFL after this year. Offensive line, you've got long term. Yeah, I think you're set up pretty well. I like Pendleton at center. Now that may push Satterwhite into the portal in the offseason.
Yeah.
But, that's going to happen at every position. Every position it's starters, and then you try your best to hang on to backups.
Yeah, it's just kind of I'm like, are we sure he's not a guard? Are we sure there's a reason that Notre Dame did put him at guard? I don't know. There's a little part of me that's like, I'm not sure.
Well, if Satterwhite was good enough at center, they'd be perfectly fine with having Pendleton at guard. But then you're taking Perry out eventually. In Perry, I think they feel like long term is really, really good, and short term he's been really good. So, you're looking for your best 5. And Pendleton's one of your best 5, and Perry's one of your best 5, and Moy is, and Hurd is. And so when Sanders is healthy, that's one of your best 5. I don't think they think Satterwhite is one of their best 5. I think Satterwhite they think is like their 7th guy. Now that Sham has played reasonably well, I think they feel like Satterwhite's their 7th guy. So you don't want to be taking a top 5 guy out to stick a 7th guy in just because that's his position.
Adam Sparks, what can the good folks check out from you and the team over at Knoxville News Sentinel this week?
But I got a big Brazzle piece. I want people to read that if you're a subscriber. But we've got obviously a lot of stuff ramping up to kick off for the UAB game. And I've got some behind the scenes stuff on NIL and RevShare that will be coming in the next few weeks. So that's sort of a long-term promo. But knoxnews.com, you'll find it. Just go there.
I love it. Adam Sparks, thank you for the time. I greatly appreciate it. And we'll have to check back in again soon.
All right, good to be on.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.